following podcast contains adults using adult language. Parental discretion is advised.
Matt Mercer, call me.
Yeah, call him, please, because I ain't going to hear the end of this now.
I never realized my love for Matt Mercer was so great.
I did. That picture you got in your car on the dashboard.
I mean, that's just because he's a handsome man.
Yeah, exactly.
But then when I was talking about all of his skills and abilities.
Yeah. Whatever.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Down Roll. No, they did not cancel us.
See, I'm doing it.
I know, I was hoping you would have forgotten.
Nope.
No, you didn't.
Don't forget Tear.
No, fortunately not. Anyway, last week we had a particularly saucy episode. Oh,
you had a particularly saucy episode.
I didn't come up with a title.
No,
or the topic.
But you did come up with the inflection.
Here to comment on it.
You know, everything can sound dirty if you say it the right way. Watch. Pick a word, any word. Just pick a word.
Snowball.
Snowballs. See?
Yeah, it's a little
tapioca pudding.
Why are you thinking about this?
I'm just saying.
All right.
You were the one that ran away with it.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm Adam. This is Will DM. And we're going to talk about Dungeons and or Dragons.
Und the Dragons.
And today, our topic of the night is there a difference between streaming Dungeons and Dragons and kitchen table Dungeons and Dragons? Because this streaming business is blown up. It's crazy.
Yes, huge.
But
and I would like to say that we've stepped right into that pool.
I feel like we've been responsible for a lot of
the bad stuff.
We got broad shoulders. A lot of the shitty streams because people watch us and they think, wow, anybody can do this.
No doubt. That's true. So you have our apology before we start the show.
So a lot of people are coming in new to Dungeons and Dragons, right? And how are they doing it? How are they seeing it through streaming? That maybe they start with a Critical Role.
Now, you know what, though? Before we go any further with that, they are seeing it through streaming, but you also, what made the streaming possible to begin with was in popular culture, D&D became hip. And the reason it became hip, this is the real important part. Yes, you can thank your local grognard for this because those people, again. You know I'm going to go there. That's because the people who are coming into positions that are pushing the media, that are writing the Stranger Things, that are doing the Parks and Recreation. These are all nerds from the 80s, and these are all your guys and gals that played D&D back then when it wasn't hip, and God damn it, they're going to put it into their TV shows.
They're going to make it hip if it kills them.
Exactly, and so that's what starts the ball rolling, that makes it hip, and then you get people in the next generation, like, say, the guys from Critical Role, that they pick it up and run with it and make it just, it exponentiates how quick that it starts to.
Is that what word did you just use?
Exponentiates.
Exponentiates.
I know I'm mispronouncing it, but you know what the word I'm using.
Is that a word?
That is exponentiate. See, now I'm not going to be able to say it. Exponentially, it's the same thing as that word.
That's exponentially is a word.
Exponentiate. Yes, that's a word. Look it up. Don't make me go get a damn. You know what?
Were you going to get a dictionary?
No, because you know why?
Oh man, they have fucking Google nowadays.
Because
you
if
can get on anything, you're sitting at a computer.
If good old Will Shakespeare could make up words,
so can Will DM.
You got that shit right.
All right. So anyway, there's a big boom in Dungeons and Dragons. People are trying to learn how to watch it. They Google role-playing raw. They get some shit that they're afraid to tell their parents about.
They get the down roll.
And then they learn by watching some of these things. But so why don't we start with a simple question?
Yes.
For the non-grognards at the what do we mean by kitchen table D&D?
Now that's more of a willism.
It's an old man Will saying.
You know, I've heard it before.
Playing D&D.
Yeah, I've heard it used before. But I tend to use it because I find it's a good description of basically how D&D amongst friends are. Generally, when you go and you get together, pen and paper. But when you get together with your friends to play D&D, generally you're going to somebody's house. And now that we've been let out of the basement, we tend to congregate.
Have we? I'm still in the basement.
Yeah, but that's because you're a bad boy. You tend to gather around the largest table in the house, which is almost always the kitchen table, and thusly you have that is kitchen table D&D. When I use that term, is for people who get together to just play D&D like normal, like kids.
So you're counting nowadays in 2019. Which must be like a brave new world for you, like a frightening place of...
I wake up every day and go, oh, look, we got television.
Of motor cars and moving pictures.
I've got this newfangled device. I can see pictures on it, and people's voices come out. My phone never used to do that.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So, your voices used to come out of your phone. Because it was like a tin can with a rope on it.
No, it's a string. Ropes are non-conductive. You got to have a good string.
That's why I guess mine never worked.
There you go.
So what's the difference? Well, I take it back because I just actually read the question. What's the most different part of streaming D&D from kitchen table D&D? What's the difference? When you see people like us, professionals, playing the Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Every Tuesday night here on Wicked Studios LLC, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we're clearly heads above most people when it comes to storytelling, entertaining.
Dude, you're going to dislocate your arm from patting yourself on the back that hard.
So what's the difference? What's the most different part about it?
Actually, there's a big
Or is it the same? Like if I just stuck a camera on my kitchen table and just played the game.
Mm-hmm. There's going to be similarities, but they are vastly different.
Oh, yeah?
And I think this leads to one of the things you've heard this term thrown around quite a bit. You heard the term the Matt Mercer effect.
I have heard that. What does that mean?
Okay, the Matt
Mercer.
Mercer.
The reason I asked that is because I've heard people been asked that question who don't know what it means.
Yes, what the Matt Mercer effect is you've got as a bunch of these people are starting to realize that are fans of the show Critical Role.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy Critical Role.
I think they're great. I think they're awesome, and then to other degrees too, other streaming shows. But because Critical Role is the biggest, and Matt Mercer is held to a higher standard from everybody else, these people who are watching it are getting into D&D. Let's play D&D. Right. So you're getting all these people who are starting. So is the Mercer
effect a good thing?
Yes. 100%. People are bitching about it, but it is
because people typically use it as a negative thing. The
of course
Mercer
they do.
effect.
And you know the people.
And what are they saying? It's because he's now this guy is a storyteller, right? So,
and professional actor and voice actor.
Right. So he's got great voices. Different characters have all their
knows about storytelling and pacing and all
they're
that.
They're all very different characters. It's not just the voice, but they're all very different characters. You could you can picture each character just by the voice and the actions and and how he uses his voice. It's but then he also gives a lot of description. He's very descriptive.
Yes, extremely.
It's almost like, listening to him is almost like reading like an audiobook.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say something which
I just love. I'm going to.
You want to marry? He's married, so you might as well give it up.
I mean, she's cute too, so I'm cool with.
You're willing to be the second wife?
Yeah.
All right. Well, rock on.
I mean, reverse Mormon. What will we call this?
I don't know. How about you call up Matt and ask him what he would call it, and then that's what we'll go through.
Call me.
So basically what that is the Matt Mercer effect is you got all these new people getting into D&D and playing D&D, and their players are supposedly starting to have, well, not supposedly, they have expectations that are extremely high because they want their dungeon masters to be clones of Matt Mercer. And when they're not getting it, they're getting pissed. So the people you hear using
every Tuesday night.
Yeah, but we've got so many different reasons for why that is. But the reason
most of it has nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons.
Not at all.
I just wake up that way.
It's just carryover.
Yeah.
What they're having is they expect the game to be like how Matt Mercer is putting it together, and what they're starting to realize is that that's not kitchen table D&D. That is a production. Now, I completely call Pogue to people who say it's scripted.
Oh yeah, it's bullshit.
It's not scripted. It's if you know what to look for, you know that it's not scripted. That shit's not scripted.
No.
So
I'm sure there's a plan going in, if not every episode, then certainly the story arc.
Well, of course there is, and especially.
But again, every
made
DM for entertainment, right?
Yeah,
of course, it's the same thing. Like if you don't then your game is going to wind up sucking anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I got a plan. Whether you guys follow said plan, that's completely up to the players.
Plan. Sure, that's what you want to call it.
So so that's what that Matt Mercer and the people who are using that as a negative, saying, "Oh, the Matt Mercer effect." That's the dungeon masters that are out there.
They're intimidated.
That find themselves and feel inadequate about it. Now, here's what I'm going to say, and this is, I wish I could. I need to find this video and write down the dude's name who does it. There's a streamer on YouTube that does D&D stuff.
We don't like to promote other people's things, except for Lord Gasumba. If you're watching, we love your channel.
Yeah, there's a couple. But anyway,
Nightheart Gaming is another great one if you'd like to watch.
Yeah. So what this guy said in his little video, and is spot on, is just this: being a dungeon master is hard work, and you will take a long time to get to a degree where you are considered, as they start throwing around now, and they're saying you're a professional dungeon master.
Well, professional dungeon master, I think you have to actually charge money for, and that's maybe that's
what they use that in conjunction with that. But still, the thing it is that guess what? If you're just starting to DM, you're gonna suck. Your players should be well aware of this too. And guess what? Everyone who's a player who's sitting around the table, you're not going to be the best player either.
Yeah.
Because
you're all going to be at the same level often if you're just starting out together.
Yeah, you're all going to suck. And the thing of it is it's still awesome. It's still Dungeons and Dragons. It's still role playing. It's still a lot of fun. And this is the thing: this is how you start to learn to get better and to become a professional.
Right.
So whatever.
So instead of using Matt Mercer as a negative, why not look at it and sort of see what does he do that you like that maybe you could work on and practice more of?
And here's the thing: be bluntly honest with yourself. You know what? Not everybody can do voices. Right. And you know what? You don't need voices for a great game.
No.
That is a huge fucking myth. I do terrible voices, but I do them.
You've got some really good ones though in there.
I got a couple good ones,
and none of them are bad. I wouldn't say you have any bad ones.
Right.
You go from like average to really good. Well, no, there are some that are shitty. I'm thinking back to them now. There's
come on now.
There are some terrible ones in there.
Yeah,
but a lot of them. But you tend to stay away from those, which is
I try to
know your limitations.
Yes, and here's the thing: is like one thing that I can't even do anymore is because I made a conscious effort to really try and stay clear of any sort of British accent because it's way overused. So I didn't want to use it. Now, when it comes time to try and do a British accent, I find it really hard. Yeah. It's like I got to think about it.
So, what's a better format for Dungeons and Dragons? Streaming or playing at the kitchen table?
Kitchen table, hands down.
Why do you say that?
Because of this. Kitchen table is going to almost always, and this is something that not everybody has access to. And I guess one part that we should have thrown in here too is just playing D&D over the internet with people that's where you're first meeting them. They're not friends that you grew up with or known for a while. But kitchen table D&D, when you're playing with people who are already your friends, you already have a connection. You're going to be able to tell stories that have more meaning for the people at the table. You're going to get more out of it. There'll be more inside jokes. There'll be more inflections. There'll be more things that it's just a way more personal connection for the players and the DM to the actual game and what comes out of it than you're ever going to find in a streaming. And this is for all those people out there who feel like, it's like if I could only be like Matthew Mercer and how I do my stuff. Remember this, starting out and sucking now means that when you eventually get better, which you will, it happens. And there's no telling how quick it'll happen either. For some people, it's quicker than others. But when you get to the point that everybody's starting to find their groove with role playing, your game, believe it or not, will be more fulfilling than the best episode you've ever seen of Critical Role. And I'll guarantee you, if you take that question and pose it to Matt Mercer, he's going to agree with you. Or Matt Colville, or any of these other so-called big DMs that you see on YouTube and all these other places. They are all going to agree with that.
If you'd like to be a sponsor, we'd love to have you.
Now, that doesn't mean that Twitch and streaming stuff isn't entertaining as hell. No, but I watch the hell out of it, But
yeah, but I also think like if you're playing, and I agree with you. I think there's nothing better than playing at the table with your friends. It's a lot of fun. But I think you look at the different ways to play over the internet, whether it's Roll20. Whether it's Fantasy Grounds or some of the other stuff that's coming along that I don't know about or can remember. Any of you would love to be a sponsor. I'd love to have you, especially ones that nobody heard about, because you need more brand recognition.
Yeah, people that talk about
we're here to provide it for you.
There you go.
So like our Sunday group, for example, we've been playing now for more than a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Probably, a little more than 2 years, I guess. Maybe no, it's got to be more than that.
It is more than that. Somebody said that we were closing in on 3 years, and I was like, I don't know about that, because when I look back at my life, I don't. Because I think
it was though.
It might be. We might be closing in on 3.
Yeah, but anyway, so the group that we have now has really been the group for the bulk of that time. There were some people who came and went, especially early on. And initially we didn't know anybody in the group. We said there's 2 brothers that that played, and it didn't really take a lot of time for us, I think, to sort of fit into. We got lucky though, and sort of fitting into that groove, where we have we just got lucky where we got good players almost off the bat. Like I said, there was a couple of people who weren't bad people; they just didn't fit really with the group,
right?
So you can develop that over time, but don't expect it to be the same when you first start that game. And you may have to go through some trial and error, because I was on another group we mentioned in a past episode that were, again, really, really nice people. it just wasn't the right, group for me. So, you have to kiss some frogs before you find the prince. Matt Mercer, call me. But I think another difference between, excuse me, streaming games from the perspective of the streamer versus watching the streaming game is that you need to be entertaining to the audience.
Yes.
And you need to find your niche and as a streaming group, because there's so much content out there. There's so many streamers out there. And to me, the people that that I like to watch are the people who understand that there are people watching them.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of times, and I made a joke before about just sticking my camera on the kitchen table. Like I've come across different streamers that literally have a camera in the back of the table looking at the DM. You've got the players on either side. You can't hear a goddamn thing that they're saying. They're in like a crowded place. I think one of them, they were in like a game store. I think they recorded it and then, streamed it afterward or whatever, released it on YouTube or whatever after. But because there was no engagement with the audience, and that doesn't even mean you have to talk to the audience, but be aware of them and play to the audience, because effectively it's as if you're doing a play or an improv show or a radio play, something along those lines. So if you're just mumbling to yourselves, and you're probably not going to be very entertaining for people. And if you're just playing your particular game, unless you're a bunch of voice actors like the Critical Role people aren't gonna want to watch. So you've got to sort of
you got to keep that shit in mind.
Yeah.
And it that's the thing, is a lot of people don't realize this. And then you get the people who take it to the flip side, the other side of that, where they do realize that and they go way overboard in how they're trying. Like the number one thing that gets me turned off by a stream is those streams. Forced jokes.
You say that
I absolutely fucking hate it.
You've said that at least in 3 episodes already.
Well, here's number 4 then, baby, because I hate that. Yeah. Be your damn self.
Right.
And then just be mindful of that you're putting together a product and everything's going to go great from there. If you're not having fun with the production of it, then you need to take a look and reevaluate what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And you need to make some changes to it. There's going to be a ton of people out there to say, screw that. We're not going to change how we role play for our stream. And it's like, okay, well, you don't have to. That's fine. I mean, it is your stream, but just be mindful that if you are not aware or mindful of your audience will see and pick up on that. And they'll eventually probably, I mean, I'm not saying that you won't have fans, but you won't have as many fans as you would normally want. Mm-hmm. Now, if the only reason you're, because I actually had this question posed to me today.
What?
Yes, and it was on
That's
Facebook.
A coincidence.
And somebody was making a comment about, because I post highlights of the shows on different like Facebook and Twitter and what have you. And somebody had made a comment about, the fact in supporting of other shows and so forth and so on and blah, blah, blah. And my response about it was essentially, we enjoy role playing, and this is what I look at as far as, and I can speak, I think, pretty confident for myself and for Adam. We also really dig production. We enjoy putting a show together. We enjoy looking at what the overlays are going to be like, how we can do different types of music. I mean, it's really starting to come together with the Saturday Morning Superheroes, where we're actually taking another look at, well, how can we, we enjoy that part of it.
Coming soon to Wicked Studios LLC, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Classic Marvel superheroes RPG system.
Yes. But that's part of the deal. We really enjoy the production end of it. Putting things together. Adam gets to compose music and do different types of things for video, and I get to do writing and different types of things. I mean, we do that anyway, so it's a natural progression for us. If you don't like doing any of that stuff, then you really probably shouldn't stream.
Yeah, just play, just enjoy the game.
Just play and have fun. Yeah. And part of that came up too. There was another post was basically saying, it said something along the lines of, not every D&D game has to be streamed. Yeah. Which is totally true. I mean, if you're just sitting around and having fun with your friends and you're not into all that production and stuff that goes into that, then don't do it.
Right. Not everybody was made to be famous.
Shit, I ain't gonna never be famous. Are you kidding me? I could go back to my hometown in Ohio, and people I went to high school with, they gonna remember who the hell I am. It's like, who's that? Oh, that's that dorky ass motherfucker.
Yeah. I used up my 15 minutes when I was 4 years old.
There you go.
Anyway, what should I expect then out of my Dungeons and Dragons game?
To have group.
Sorry,
now
group.
this is something else too. Now it's like the whole thing about streaming and the expectations, the Mercer effect, all that different things. You should get along. It's people that you get along with. Mm-hmm. It's generally the same type of theory behind people that you become friends with. Mm-hmm. Why did you become friends with them? Well, there's something that you guys have in common there. Right. Like some people have naturally inborn flaws, like being a Yankees fan, or
you take that back.
But
wow,
the thing I know, right? That was mean to me. It's got to be people that you associate with, and building a really is a hard thing to do. And so there's plenty of groups that I've been in where we just needed people, and well, what about Bob's friend? He says he wants to play D&D. It's like, oh yeah, the one guy who has that collection of dead flies, he'll be a perfect fit. You got to be mindful of the people that you're bringing into your group.
Bob's got some weird ass friends.
I'm just saying, that's Bob for you, man.
He's a
kind of weird
fly hoarder. Like, don't invite. Okay, here. You know what? Here's my advice when starting a D&D group: do not invite the dead fly hoarder.
Yeah, that's a.
But I think the point is that you want, when putting together a group or joining a group, if they're not people that you don't genuinely like, and it takes a little time to get to know people, understandably, so you might have to go through a few sessions and see. I think one great thing about Dungeons and Dragons is you really get to know people based on the characters that they play.
Indubitably,
right?
You sure do.
But if you're focused on finding people that you just enjoy being around, chances are you're going to enjoy the game, regardless of whether you're streaming it or sitting at your kitchen table. And the expectations, I think, then, whether you're new or you're a grognard, are going, will change, and you're not going to worry so much about Matt Mercer,
exactly,
living his life with his wife Marisha Ray and his other wife Adam, and the three of them, strolling off in the sunset together. You're not going to care about that. You're going to just focus on you and your game and the fun that you're having and the stories that you're playing, and those stories are going to last for forever. Like I still have friends that I played, I don't know how many years ago, 25 years ago, and maybe 20, that we'll still reminisce about those those games as if we were there doing those things, and laughing about the the misadventures and and all of that. So that's because it's a shared experience between people who enjoy being around each other.
Yep.
And that's all D&D is, man. Why can't we all just get along?
Yeah, that is it in a nutshell, right there, 100%. And when you're
And when you
gaming
get
around
real close, you start role playing and you get raw.
Yeah, you do. But when you're playing when you're doing kitchen table D&D, tangents and inside jokes are a huge part of that.
Yeah.
Huge. And that is just a couple of the things that get trimmed out of streaming. And one of the reasons is because people who come to watch your stream don't want to see that. Sometimes it's entertaining. Right. Sometimes it's entertaining. But inside jokes, there's a reason they're called inside jokes.
Yeah, because everybody gets them.
Exactly. And reminiscing over something, while the people who come to watch the stream are interested in D&D just like you're playing, they might not care 2 red cents about the latest Disney animated movie, but everybody at your table does. And so something comes up, and then you guys might spend 5 minutes talking about how The Lion King was ripped off of a Japanese anime from the 60s.
The latest Disney movie that you can think of is The Lion King.
Dude, yeah, because that's where it ends with me. I don't watch Disney movies. You kidding me?
Neither do I. But
my kid's an adult now. You've got youngins. You should know about them.
I do. I don't watch a lot of them. I love Moana.
But you've got to brainwash in a good way.
Moana was great. If you were looking for a Disney movie, watch Moana.
I've heard nothing but good things about that one. I do have to watch that
good.
One. Yeah, but you got your kids brainwashed the right way because they go to all the super.
Oh, they love Marvel movies. They love Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. So
even like Kaylin is a big X-Men fan.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, write down in the chat, because we're not here live for you. We're live for us.
Yeah, pretty much.
But write down in the chat, because at least I'll be there chatting with you. Sometimes Will bothers to show up.
I show up sometimes. It really depends.
It depends on his mood.
Yeah, that's what it is.
With these people, I guess I'll drop in for a minute, say hi, and pretend I'm watching.
Blah, 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 blah.
But anyway, write down in the comments, are you streaming your games? What do you find different about streaming versus just playing at the old kitchen table?
What would make you quit streaming? That's important. I would love to hear those stories. What would be the proverbial straw on the camel's back that said, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to play regular D&D. Wow. And what maybe would force you to say, you know what, I want to take this next step. I want to stream. What's the opposite of that? What makes you do it?
Adam and Will DM.
No, you don't.
And I'm going I'm going to stream.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Or just write down in the chat whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
we don't care. That too. This is for you, and mostly for us, but it's also somewhat for you.
Yeah, partly.
Bye.
Bye. That would way to end with an awkward silence.